This week, our Newsmaker segment features Tim Clancy, president of Clancy and Thays Construction Company, located in Raleigh. Tim, thanks for being on the show with us today.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, tell us a little bit about your background and the history of the company.
Well, Clancy and Thays was started by my father and uncle in 1949, the year after I was born. And I've worked there ever since college in the Army Reserves, which is 1970. And we are headquartered in Raleigh with 4 other offices outside of Raleigh, 2 outside the state. And we're generally a building contractor. We're not a road building contractor or anything like that. So here we are, almost 70 years later, still around and looking for a transition to a newer generation now.
What are some of the challenges you find that the construction trades face in this particular economy?
Okay, right now, one of our biggest challenges is finding people to do the work. There are a lot of really good jobs out now available in construction. These are well-paying jobs, high-tech jobs, but we just can't find the people to fill these jobs right now. So that's a challenge.
Do you need engineers, laborers? What kind of jobs?
Not labor some, but not so much, but really skilled journeyman carpenters, electricians, plumbers, HVAC people. And these jobs are way more high-tech than they were in the past, where a carpenter's a guy with a hammer and a knowledge of how to use a framing square. The technology has changed tremendously in the last 30 years. And these jobs are highly skilled and, they're well paid too.
So what is the solution, Tim?
Well, reducing immigration is probably not going to help any. I will say that. I think we have to do a better job of talking people in high school into looking at this industry, looking at these jobs. That's one thing we probably haven't done as good a job as we should have, selling the construction industry to younger people.
What about the community college system? Is that any help?
We get some people from community college, and they do train in some of these trades, like particularly HVAC and electricians, but a lot of these jobs are available to be for OJT, really. I mean, if we can hire entry-level people almost right out of high school or 2 years of community college, they can be trained and they can be making a good salary right off the bat and looking for much larger salary down the road when they're a little older, a little more experienced.
So let me ask you a question about more of a business strategy. You've been running this company for a while. You along with your industry have had some serious lean years right during the Great Recession. For the CEOs and the business owners that are sort of watching this show, how did you come out of it? Was it just purely a case of you got more contracts? Or how did you sort of reorganize, restructure, if you may, your company in order to make sure when the next one comes, hopefully it will never be as bad as the last one. When the next one comes, we are sort of going to be prepared for this because this taught us a lot of things. What were the lessons that you learned?
Well, Sanjay, there were a couple things. When we went into the Great Recession, we'd come off a lot of work, so we were fairly well off financially. I won't say we were flush with money, but we weren't under financial stress, and that helped because we actually lost money for 3 or 4 years there. And we had to reduce our labor force by almost 50% because our volume went down by a little over 50%. So you have to make those choices, and they're kind of hard choices too. I mean, you have people work for you for a long time. In some cases, some of these people are older anyhow, and they're late 60s, so that's easier. I mean, they can retire and they've got a position. And you also have to keep your really important key younger people and older people too, for when we came out of the recession. So we tried to do that as much as we could, and that probably cost us a little money, but I think in the long run it was a good thing that we did that.
Where do you see moving forward? I mean, Joe mentioned about the sort of the state of the industry. There's already talk that, for example, housing starts are down, building permits are down, home sales were down in July 10% year over year. Does that worry you, some of these numbers, or no?
A little bit. Our mix of product has changed in the last 5 years. We're doing a lot more multifamily than we ever did before because that's sort of where the construction has been. I mean, you can see that from going around town. Office building has tailed off considerably because people work from home, they put more people in the same amount of space, and that was previously, our biggest market. So I don't know. Construction's funny. If I had a crystal ball, that'd be great, but I still feel that the interest rates are low, so I feel that the industry will continue on in a fairly predictable growth pattern, not escalating to any big booms, but generally I feel good about it, the 3 to 5% growth year on year.
Well, you mentioned too some of the changes you've seen take place in the construction industry over your career. How much more reliance is there on technology now than when you started out working for the company?
A tremendous amount. And the funny thing, 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, people say, what has affected construction the most? What piece of technology? And I would say the cell phone or just communications, because that's made people just so much more efficient. But there's a lot of new high-tech materials that we're using. We don't use the same materials that we were 20 years ago. The tools are different. There's a lot more electronics and pneumatics, not as much hand work, hand hammering. A lot of stuff now is fabricated off-site too. Things that we used to put together when smaller pieces right on the job site now come to the job already made, and so they're just sort of plugged in.
Well, as a final thought, the elected officials, the policymakers in government, when they're enacting taxation and regulation, those sorts of things, from your perspective, what do they need to know about your industry so that the policies that they make are good and help you turn a profit and pay people and do the things that a company does to benefit a community? What would you have them understand better than maybe what you feel like they see now about the construction trades?
Well, I think a lot of times they really don't look at the cost-benefit analysis of some of these regulations they put in. Some of them seem just, overdone. I mean, it's sort of like you can't get to the nth degree of pushing things down to having things just run perfectly, or micromanage all these things, because then it gets really expensive. The last, sort of like pollution, the last 2% of the pollution you take out of the air is really expensive. And I think sometimes they don't realize that or don't care. In that case, perfect's the enemy of the good.
Well, Tim, thank you for being on Bottom Line with us this week.